The first thing you need to do for Chapter 2 is to find the icons folder. You're going to then extract that. Take that extracted folder and move that into your WIP folder. Make sure you read about setting up your workspace on stage 1. Read the section talking about raster images, pixels per inch, lines per inch, and dot per inch. And then you'll create your new document. Go back in Illustrator to File and select New. In this window, select Print. Highlight the default name, which is Untitled, and name this file Art Icon and include your initials so that you will have that on the file name immediately. That way when you submit to me for grading, I'll be able to tell whose file is whose. Choose inches for your measurements. Highlight the current value for the width and change that to 12 inches, and then either highlight the height or tab to it. Make sure you have a single artboard, and we are not dealing with bleeds on this. The default, because we did select that this was print, is going to be that this is in color with CMYK with a 300 pixels per inch raster effect. And you can now select Create. Select File, Save As, navigate to your Works in Progress folder, and select the Icons folder to save this file. Accept the defaults that come up, read through your book. It does make explanations about these items, and select OK. Make sure that your control panel is visible. If you do not have your control panel up, remember to go to Window and open Control. If you have a check mark next to it, you know that that panel is open. Click the Preferences button in either the control panel or in the Properties panel. Choose Smart Guides from your list. Check everything except for Construction Guides. So make sure all of these are checked. The book will discuss what each one of these items is for. And then select OK. Choose View, Smart Guides, and make sure that that option is toggled on. Choose Window, Toolbars, Advanced. That's going to bring up more options in your toolbar. Choose Window, Contextual Taskbar, and make sure that that is checked. Then click the rectangle tool in the toolbar and hold it down until you get the contextual menu, where you can select Rounded Rectangle. Make sure that the default fill and stroke is selected. If it's not selected already, click on this little icon here, which will make your fill white and your stroke black. With the tool active, click near the top left corner of your artboard. You're going to get a dialog box for a rounded rectangle. Make sure the constrain button is off, which means you have this line going through this. If it's chained, it's going to make everything to be exactly the same. We want that turned off. In the width field, type in 5. For the inches. The inches will automatically fill in for you, so you never need to type that in unless you're using a measurement that is different. So if you were going to type in a certain number of pixels, or you're going to type in something metric, you can make those changes, and the Illustrator app that you're using will automatically convert that to whatever units you have preset. We're going to load 5 in both width and height, and we're going to set the corner radius to 0.5 inch, 0.5, and select OK to create your new shape, or just hit enter. You should be able to see the entire rounded rectangle. We have these lovely handle things going on out here. Those are the bounding box with the bounding box handles. Zoom in if you need to so that you can clearly see the entire rounded rectangle. Remember, to zoom in, you just select the zoom tool and you can zoom in. Pick up your selection tool and you should automatically select the rectangle. If not, if it is become deselected, just simply click on it. Remember, it does have a white fill, so you can click on it to select it. And notice that there is a line going around the outside of this object that you drew. That is the bounding box, and those are the corners, and halfway between those are the bounding box handles. They mark the corners and the horizontal and vertical centers of the shape. If you are not seeing the bounding box, you need to go to View and select Show Bounding Box. If it's already coming up, it would be Hide Bounding Box. Yes. So that menu will change, reflecting what is active. Open your Transform panel. So go to Window and select Transform. Move it to a convenient location. Now I'm going to need to move some things around a little bit, so I'm going to go underneath my Zoom tool, and I should be able to locate, oh, it's going to be over here. Toolbars change. Under my Rotate View tool, I'm going to grab my hand tool so I can slide this box on my artboard over a little bit. And I'm going to go to my rounded rectangle, sit on that for a bit so I can open up my rectangle tool. Now we have our transform panel open, and we also remember we have our smart guides turned on. We're going to move the cursor to the right top edge of the existing shape, and you see this little pink line is popping up, and I'm going to click on that and drag down and to the right. I'm going to get cursor feedback. If you can see, right there's a little box next to my cursor that's going to tell me when I am at 5 inches and at 5 inches, and when this is a perfect 5 by 5, I'm going to get a diagonal magenta line through there, and then I can release my mouse because I have a height and width of both 5 inches. I then have these little corner things, the little circle with a dot in it. That is my live corner widgets. And I'm going to drag that towards the center until I get a feedback on my mouse that says I have a radius of 0.75 inches. Now, did you notice this is changing all 4 corners? 0.74, and it's going to be really picky. But you know what's really cool about this is that I'm going to make sure all my links are together, and all I have to do is change one to 0.75, and it's going to make changes to the corners, all 4 corners on my rectangle. We have another change that we have to make because we created this with 3/4 of an inch for a radius on the corners when the other box was done with a 1/2 inch radius. So we can change this in either sections, either the transform panel by itself or over here in the properties panel. You should be able to bring up more items right here, and we can make that change here. And yes, we do have click drop downs that we can use, or you can simply highlight one and type it in, and there's the changes made. Using the transform panel, we can also position items exactly where we want them. So we're going to zoom out. So we're going to go to View, and we're going to Fit in Window, Fit Artboard in Window, so we can actually see exactly what we are working with. And then we're going to show our rulers. Right now we don't have any rulers, so let's go to View and select Rulers, Show Rulers. And you can see it's marked off in inches. If we were working in something else like picas, it would be marked off in picas, but we're working with inches, and that's where we're wanting to be. With our selection tool, we're going to pick up the left rectangle, and I'd like you to look in your transform panel. You'll have this here. You'll also have this in your properties panel, that you have this little thing that's got 9 little boxes on it. That is the proxy for the piece that you are working on. So whatever is selected, that's the proxy, and we have the center of this darkened, which means that what we're using for this reference point, there's an X and a Y value, that is actually this point right here in the middle. Note that this will change if I pick up one of the other reference points. So I'm selecting this corner right up here, and you can see how that changes and reflects the positioning on the rulers. So we have the ability to move things and get them very precise. We're going to use the top left reference point, and in the X field we're going to change this to 3/4 of an inch, 0.75. And you see how that moves that over. The Y field is also going to be set to 0.75, and it drops it down. Selecting the second rectangle, we want to drag that over until we get a guideline that lines up the two center pieces. So our guide is helping us to line this up, and let's see, let's check this again. Our Y value is very close. There we go, intersect 0.74, and that's about as close as you can actually get this. We could actually go in and type the 0.75 to get that exact, and we're going to change the X value on this because we want this, or 3/4 of an inch in, I'm sorry. So we're going to type in 11.25 to get that perfectly lined up. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be using my other corner, 11.25. There we go. Okay, we still have that box selected, so we're going to hold down our Shift key and select the left rectangle as well. So now both of those are selected, and we are going to now hold down your Alt key. You can release your Shift key, hold down your Alt key, and click and drag straight down. And what the Alt key is going to do is it's going to make a duplicate of the images that we had. And we're going to drag this down until the cursor feedback is approximately 5.5 inches. Now with both of those rectangles still selected, we're going to choose the bottom left corner in the transform panel, and we're going to set the Y value here to 11.25, and that will pop right into place where it belongs.